Good evening again. Still Mr. Spear and the continuation of chapter. We are now in chapter 3. We made a summary in chapter 2. Previously, we're now in chapter 3 under page 23. These are the values that must be supported by the norms when public personnel legislation is being scrutinized. The intention of the legislator and that of the community must be one under these following rules or conduct or norms that must be followed in public personnel when it's scrutinized. Firstly, when the candidates are considered for an appointment, promotion or transfer, no person who qualifies for the appointment, transfer or promotion consent shall be favored or be prejudiced. Only qualifications, level of training, merits and efficiency, and the suitability of a person who qualify for the appointment or the promotion or transfer in question, in such condition as may be prescribed or as may be directed or recommended by the commission for making of the appointment of the filling of the post, shall be taken into account in terms of section 11 of the Public Service Act. That's the first point. These are the things that should be looked at when considering a candidate for the post, either for a promotion, either for a new post, or either is for a transfer. This prejudice, the most important factor is that prejudice. There must be no biasness in terms of doing and dealing with this. Further on, the second point is all the permanent posts or the permanent appointments in South Africa are reserved for South African citizens in terms of section 10, subsection 1 of the Public Service Act. This talks to the preference given to citizens because the safety of the country will thereby be protected, particularly in times of crisis. However, I need to clarify this. In terms of the Bill of Rights in the Constitution, that does not relate to the Employment Equity Act. It talks about the Bill of Rights that is applied territorially. Then it goes to the preamble. The Constitution goes to the preamble. It states that the South Africa belongs to all who lives in it. That's very true. However, when it comes to preference in terms of what you call appointments and also in terms of the jobs, the first preference should be given to a South African citizen according to the Public Act Service in terms of section 10 of the Public Service Act. As we continue with the third point, is that public officials must be of good character. It's still section 10 subsection 1 B of the Act of 1994 and also section 20 of the Act of 1994 provides that further that the official must not be guilty of a misconduct. In other words, typical example, if someone may be working for a municipality as an official, according to Schedule 1 of the Municipal Systems Act, it is in the interest of the municipality that it protects its image and may not allow a person who is an employee or who is expected to be an employee to be mischievous or to be of bad conduct. This legislation on public service is also related to such things, if you may be pleased in that example of municipality in terms of Schedule 1 of the Municipal Systems Act. The fourth point is that the carrier system is applied, and this means that The higher posts are filled by the transfer or promotion of serving officials. This relates to section 11 subsection 2, which talks about division of public service and the post filling, which is satisfactory in terms of transfers and official. Why this thing had to happen like that, the career system is applied to when higher post, is because some of the people who are newly what you call candidates to the to be employed in the post or to fill in the post are inexperienced. So in terms of promotion and transfers, the person has already gained grounds in terms of understanding what you call the work ethics and also the work behavior patterns. So in this aspect, it is required that a person who gets a transfer or gets a promotion must be of a person who's in a situation of adequate, or in a position of being adequate and efficient and effective in terms of performing these what you call duties that makes that person to be promoted. And two, the KPIs, which is the key performance indicators, must be set for that particular person who needs to be promoted. Of course, other requirements that are required. This section 10 is just what you call a section, a provision that gives permission for a transfer, but there may be additional requirements that is required from an individual in terms of being promoted and also in terms of being transferred to another job. The fifth one is the process of public service officials may be terminated only for prescribed reason and according to the prescribed procedures. In this connection section, it's connected with section 16 subsection 1A of the Act of 1994, which is the Public Service Act. It provides that any officer has the right to retire from the public service on attaining that age of 55 years. I will have to clarify that only the age of 55 years, which means that this relates to what you call female, to a male. A male should be at least 60 years. That's the application of this law. But section 16 provides that an official may, before reaching that age, be allowed to retire from the service on the recommendation of the commissioner. Provision is made by section 17 of the Act of 1994 for discharge of official because of illness or other reasons. These, as I've already alluded, illness, or then we call this system of boarding. We board what you call employees when they are no longer able to perform the set duties that they are required to perform because of their illness and longevity of that illness, meaning that maybe the sickness is chronic, it's long term, therefore it will be detrimental to the health of that individual. The restriction on the termination of the service of public officials are necessary to prevent political parties on coming into power from applying the spoil system of personnel administration and from dealing with the public officials arbitrarily. What does this mean? Spoil system of governance, we know that the political party that is the one that is ruling will always protect the interest of their what you call candidates that are in post. So in order for this not to happen, this section 17 has to be enacted in terms of Public Service Act in order to protect the interest of the officials, so to say. Fifthly, public officials could not so actively take part in party politics that he or she is suspected of being prejudiced or unfair in official actions. or that he or she is attempted to improve his or her position or service condition through official or outside inter alia. Subsection 20G and H, as well in section 36 of the Public Service Act, state that, if I may allude to this fact, I may say that to understand this point very clearly and also very vividly, we ought to understand the constitutional mandate and also our political mandate. An official of the government, or an administrator, so to say, or a personal administrator, is a person who acts within the box. In other words, is being guided by rules and regulations. He cannot act outside of that box. However, politicians, we can act outside of the box, because some of the politicians are not what you call guided by the principles that are governing the officials. They are governed by the principles that are governing political parties. That is why then it would be prejudice for an official who's employed as a civil servant to be found or alleged to be involved in political party things whilst on a public service post. So it is imperative, if we may, if I may give what you call a clarity on this, I would say that is why Wilson withdrew in 1887 in his essay. We have written that a political question is not an administration question, and an administration question is not a political question. However, these two things should work together. The other should cause the other one to work, and the other should do the implementation part. Political what you call stance and political office bearer set the agenda of the day, but the what you call the officials of the government or the administrator need to implement that which is being said, but never to be on a political side. Then we go to the sixth point. Public servants should be free to establish associations and to deliberate formally with the representative of public institutions. When I talk about this association, it may be what you call an association of what you call employees, which we call unions. It may be an association of a gathering, sort of a certain gathering inside what you call the workplace, sort of an association of sport, recreation, because these things are needed, because these are human beings and they need to exercise certain of mind, and also they need to be protected against ill treatment from their employers through the unions and so forth and so forth. Seventhly, the remuneration and other benefits to which an official is entitled may not be reduced except with his or her consent, or in terms of the provisions of the legislation, or because of inefficient or misconduct. For example, Section 34 of the Constitution. In other words, it means that even if the employee in public service is failing to perform to the optimum expectation of the employer should assist, or should devise a plan to assist the employer to perform better by, number one, giving more training to the employer how to do that particular job, or to send this what you call employee to the workshops that will assist, or to find sort of another employee that is well experienced in that particular job to assist that particular employee that is underperforming in terms of the requirements of that particular post. The list from the last. All officials, and regardless of color, language, and religion or sex, are entitled to the benefits guaranteed by the aforementioned provisions. These provisions, in other words, they are taking into cognizance or Section 9 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa that stipulates that there must be no person who should discriminate any individual under the listed grounds. These listed grounds is the language, the religion, the sex, and also etc. etc. When they are applying this legislation in terms of getting what they require in terms of the benefit. Lastly, the legislation even provides for crimes which nobody should commit and which could in any case lead to criminal cases. For example, Section 20 subsection 0 of the Act of 1994 provides that an official will be guilty of a misconduct if he or she misappropriate or improperly use property of the state. In other words, either be it what you call finances of the state, because the finances of the state are the what you call the ratepayers' money that's supposed to be protected, is either the property or is either the vehicles that are used by public officials are belonging to the state. So there must be no one who must misappropriate. In other words, misappropriation relates to misuse or maladministration of you may say so, should not commit that, or fruitless spending or so. Should not use money that was not supposed to be used for that particular what you call event or that particular allocations, but they should use all the resources of the government in a way that is efficient, in a way that is effective, in a way that is economizing. What do I mean by the three terms? Efficiency means that they must use the resource of government even if it's limited in order to respond to the desired need. But in terms of effectiveness, they must respond faster in order to eliminate the problem so that it won't bring cost implication to the government. By cutting cost, it means that a person ordinarily who used to spend maybe, and make an example, 5 rims in a day, may cut in terms of printing, may cut those rims into 2. How? May use what you call a system of IT or technology in order to do other things, and that are not necessitating what you call printing, so that other what you call forms of papers may be prevented from being used what you call in a way that is not improper or in a way that is wasteful. These are the things that should be found when scrutinizing the legislation regarding personal administration. The intention of the legislator and that of the community must purport what you call these values and norms in the public what you call service what you call department. With that being said, there is a lot that we can talk about, but in few days to come I'll be talking about what you call the levels of what you call policy in terms of policy level in page number 27. That's political and government policy level 1, and the second one is executive policy level 2. The third one is administrative policy level 3. The fourth one is in page 29, operational level policy number 4, which those are the 4 aspects that I need you to go through them whilst I have not alluded on them, beginning from page 27 up to page 29. Let's close this session by saying we know that our God is faithful. He will never, according to the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verses 13, he will never give us a load or a burden that is beyond our shoulders, but he will make a way for us to be able to bear it. I'm saying as the lockdown seemingly is locking us in our houses and we are not able to move, we are not able to engage in classroom, please take time to listen to this video, and also go and search to these pages that I've made summary of, and start studying, and do not relax, because this shall be over. Whenever it's over, things will be normal again, but time will be against us. That's why I'm pleading with you, all the cpad 201 students, which is the personal administration. This is Mr. Spear, your lecturer. I am pleading with you. Stay safe, stay at home. Please do not move around. Know that COVID-19 kills. COVID-19 is a real disease. It's not something that is just anarchical to our, it is anarchical to our societies, but it's a real disease, because we see people dying. And please respect our president. I know that it becomes difficult to some of the people who are Christian to respect about party, but the Bible requires that. It says that you must do it as you do it to the Lord, to respect Lababa's pete. With that being said, I'd like to close the session and say good luck to your endeavors. In days to come, I will announce when I'll put a quiz on our systems, so that you'll be able to write the assessment after studying thus far. But for now, I would like to also give this line in the ending. Please email the address to sibialeo@gmail.com. sibialeo@gmail.com, for the purpose of that what you call assignment to be assessed. Please spread this message to your groups and speak to everyone who's doing cpad 201 that the group assignment that was given to you is now required, because the due date is already elapsed, but I'm still giving you maybe this weekend and also Monday. Then on Tuesday, please email these assignments to me, or I can also give you Wednesday. That will be the last day of mercy. Thank you very much for taking your time to look at this video. Thank you. Bye.